Peace. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the Foul Playland, weekend edition. As always, I am Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I know I had a very lackluster weekend, but nevertheless, one thing that I do enjoy is the fact that I've tried to make content more regularly, and I did that this weekend, and I'm doing it today. So if there's any measure of good weekend that I could pull from, it's that one. I have a few people that came through and showed love before the stream started. Um, my man's Rebel Life Boxing, Brooklyn, salute. Subscribe to Rebel Life Boxing if you guys could. Also, another fine channel that I just found out about, which is Rebel 9. I don't know the exact name of the channel, but I mean, I'm pretty sure if you look at Rebel Life Boxing, you could probably peep his link tree or whatever and see where the Rebel 9 channel is. And it's more flute or whistle, tule, hammer associated. And I love all those things. I love my tools. My brother Mark Nash, another fantastic channel, king of the late night. And I hope you guys could please subscribe to Mark Nash TV, another fantastic channel. And let me get on with it. Much love, though, brothers, for looking out and coming through. But wanted to make this a short video. I was looking for things to talk about, and I want to touch on things without hurting nobody's feelings most times. And a lot of times I can't think that way. I mean, like, if you get offended by what I talk about, I mean, like, I'm giving you my perspective. So, I mean, like, draw with it what you will. But I'm trying to talk about things that I do know. And one thing, the last part of this video, I think makes me a candidate to talk about the other parts of this video, which is and this video is titled "The Migrants, the Border, and the Hood." I always mention the fact that I was born and bred in the hood. I grew up in Sunset Park pretty much my whole life. I was born in the hood in Jersey City, Carson Avenue. Moved to Bergen Avenue a couple weeks later. And by the time I was 1 month old, I was out to Brooklyn, to Sunset Park, where I lived pretty much my whole life. So having said that, I mean, like, although I may have what some may consider conservative views in present day or today, doesn't mean that I grew up in a conservative area. Doesn't mean that I went to I grew up in politically what's a liberal area. All of New York is liberal for the most part. Sunset Park, my neighborhood, was the first. We elected the first socialist congresswoman in the city of New York, I believe. I don't know her name. She'll go fuck herself. But I grew up in liberal schools. I mean, my school, I went to one of the worst junior high schools probably in the system, which was Dewey. And I went to the worst high school when I was attending there, which was Jungle J. So I grew up in the liberal, what was supposed to be indoctrination. I mean, I didn't have this stance my entire life as far as, I was a knucklehead when I was young. But now that I'm older, I mean, like, I consider myself conservative, not because I like anything in the Republican Party. The Republican Party in its entirety, 95% of it are losers. I mean, they're basically there to make liberals stop, but they work hand in hand with the Liberal Party. I mean, with the Democratic Party. So this is not like somebody who's trying to convince you to go solely vote Republican. I more would like my people, as far as so-called minorities, to be more engaged. And when you're engaged, I mean, like, people got to do stuff for you. And not, I think a lot of times, as quote unquote minorities, we throw our hands up or make it seem like we're not gonna vote we're considering who to vote for, and we just vote Democrat across the board every election, and we get nothing for it. But having said that, though, doesn't mean that I have less love for my people, or like, I'm not, or doesn't mean that I'm one of these button up minority conservatives that like loves the cops, because I can't stand the cops. not one iota. Do I want no cops in the hood? Absolutely not. Like in right now, current day, like post 2020 till now, I think the hood needs a lot of cleaning up, and it's very hard for somebody who lives in the hood to clean up the hood. I mean, and the only way that that could happen realistically right now is via policing, not defunding police at this current juncture, like a lot of liberals want, but maybe more funding for police. And fuck, maybe more police at this current juncture. The hood is on smash right now. It's all fucked up. Having said that, though, but that, I'm not one of the these conservatives or like that vote that tells you to go vote Republican because I did well in life. I'm not doing that well in life. I mean, I'm doing all right, and I'm more a conservative because I want to keep what I have, sure, but it's not like because I have white friends, and I mean I have friends of all colors, but by and large, 95% of my friends are from the hood and stuck in the hood by and large, so that's I'm not trying to convince you of any of these things with the motive of I made it up in the world, and or I have scorn for people that look like me. That's ridiculous. But the biggest thing, though, I mean, and this is not exclusive to my hood, but there's actually some national stories that made it specifically to Sunset Park, in the sense that we got a migrant center that was plastered into my neighborhood, Sunset Park. And it's actually the Sunset Park Recreation Center. If you guys want, you could look up the story. I mean, I don't have it pulled up with me at this current juncture, but I'm pretty sure you could find it. But in addition, I mean, and it's not just about housing migrants, or that don't want to see more people in my neighborhood. I really don't want to see more people in my neighborhood. I really don't want to see more people in any aspect of my life. I'm good with the people I have in my life as is. The people in my street, the people in my where I live now, the people in my old hood. Like, I don't want to add more to any of these things. Like, I don't like seeing people by and large. I mean, if I or not, I'll put it like this: if I had a policy and for tomorrow, and I'm gonna go out tomorrow and say, all right, am I gonna run into more people or less people? I don't want to run into more people. I don't care if it's hoes. I don't care, nah. I just more of a complication. And people are nuts like nowadays, or nuttier nowadays. So why bother? You know what I'm saying? But in my hood specifically, we had a problem of too many people when I was still living there. I mean, I left my hood probably in 2019, and it was a ton of people already there. It was already a bad neighborhood as it was before, in 2019 when I departed. And not to say I don't go back to my neighborhood. I mean, you could see New York City from my windows, like as far as the skyline and whatnot. I'm very close to New York City. You could be from my house to New York City, 15 minutes. But so I'm not detached from it. In fact, I got to go to my neighborhood tomorrow or the day after. So I'm not detached from Sunset Park. I'm not detached from New York. When I was in New York, I wasn't living my life from mommy's window. When I was in New York, I was living my life 100% in the hood, involved with every hood thing you could think of, like not observing it, not like, oh, my friend's doing this. Like, no, I was fucking doing it. And I'm not proud of that. Like, I don't even like telling my son about a lot of those things at times because it's stupid. And young people may listen to this, and I don't want them to do it either. But and I was lucky to get out. At the end of the day, I didn't get out just by hustling, even though I did hustle to get out. And I hustled in the other fashion as well. But I got out of my hood by hustling, yes, but by pure luck. In large part. I mean, like, could I have try to finagle my way out the hood now and buy a house? Hell's no. It's mad expensive. Like, but having said that, that's another topic in itself as far as the ability to buy a house for a medium income person or a poor person. It's almost impossible, and that's all done by politics. But I want to talk about more what's happening in New York current day. Here in New York, because like I said before, I live like right outside of New York City. I live in Jersey now, but we still get like the news, like the local news. Our local news is regular channel 2, channel 4, channel 5, channel 7, and it's all New York. Channel 9, channel 11. But we still get the New York channels. Like I'm not far like that. One of the stories that are ramping up now is the migrant crisis that's happening in New York. You guys could also look it up for yourself. Eric Adams, one of the worst mayors in New York, in the history of New York, he's bitching about that problem currently, as far as not having nowhere to house them, recommending what the president should do in closing the border, perhaps, or sending New York City more money to deal with the migrant problem that New York City is having currently. You know, but a lot of people, even my mom, I talked about it yesterday, and my mom doesn't leave the cribs, but unless like the news is telling her, that this is a problem, she don't look at things like they're like a big problem like that. But in my hood specifically, I mean, like they dumped off a decent amount of immigrants in addition to the recreation center in Sunset Park. But they were just immigrants spilling into my neighborhood in the last like couple months, like tons, a lot. And I'm not sure if people were peeping it for what it was. Again, because a lot of people are misinformed, and a lot of people just sift through life, like and they don't know what's happening. Like I don't know if it's the phones or whatever have you, but now more people are telling me what a migrant problem we have. Like talking about in the last like month or two, this summer, if you will. But it's a terrible look. It's a terrible look, and it's terrible to live through. Like my brother, I mean, let me see if I can get him on the phone. But my brother actually told me a story because he had some work to do in my house, in which on his block, which is 2 blocks from where I grew up at, that a Mexican cat was getting a blowjob by a migrant lady, and this was in the daytime, and this was like not in the cut. It was pretty much out in the open. But you have a problem in New York in terms, or in the hood in general, in New York, in terms of like police are taking a hands-off approach. I think that's being done purposely. I've always, because that's not exclusive to New York. As far as most liberal cities around the country are taking a hands-off approach when it comes to crime and police. Um, so you have the problem of police taking a hands-off approach. The hood was already on smash before immigrants came in, and now you're adding another element of more immigrants on top of that, and things are boiling over. And another like but I actually want to pull up some videos if I could. um and I had them ready on my messenger, but of course I closed the window because I'm not internet savvy. But um there's actually a page on Twitter that I've been following, and it's called Crime in New York. um I think that page is really good for me. I mean, like in terms of seeing what's happening in New York and whatnot. um I think it's good for that function, because I can't be there every day, but I do like to see like these spikes in crime when as they happen. Not crime necessarily, but like crazy shit that doesn't get reported. But before I even get into that, though, I do want to say that, and I like in terms of policy or politically, like the policies of this current administration and of liberals or Democrats altogether, by and large, is pretty much open borders. That can't be debated. Actually, my first video will show that. Um, People will may try to gloss over it, like, oh, we've always had an immigrant problem. No, we didn't. Like, I mean, not at this level. Like when Trump was the president from 2016 to 2020, we didn't have an immigrant problem like we do now. That can't be debated. Stop fronting. I think in the I heard a statistic where it's been since he dipped either 2 million or 6 million, which is a lot of people. That's a lot of fucking people that like registered. And the main thing, and what I see in New York, and what I see, when they show pictures of the border, when they show videos of people crossing the border, when they show people that have already crossed into the border, when they show videos of people in New York City, one thing is constant with most of these migrants is that, for the most part, it's dudes, military age dudes. Like, and that's scary. I mean, because military age dudes, I mean, if they don't got it, they're gonna go get it. That's any dude. I don't care if it's military age dude. If I need it and I want it, I'm gonna take it. Like that's the rules of the game. But if you have a bunch of dudes that are living foul, like that have nothing to eat and whatnot, or like that are living in an opulent city like New York, and they see broads walking around with nice wedding rings and whatnot, or a fancy bag. I mean, if I were in their state, I'd snatch that shit up off them. That's mine. But I don't get a lot of reports of that. Like, and again, like, I mean, you can't trust the news for reports of things like that, if you will. But because I think like the news is carefully manicured. This is another thing that's happening in this current administration, in that they're very reticent to criticize anything to do that's happening politically, unless it's Donald Trump. Unless it's Donald Trump, you ain't gonna hear a negative political story with what's happening with the current administration. Like you don't get many negative Joe Biden stories. You don't get many negative stories in regards to politics, unless it's like saying something bad about Congress because the Republicans may have the majority currently, and it'll end there pretty much. I mean, like besides that, like like they're basically putting the brakes on reporting on any bad things politically. I've said that in other videos. I mean, like, contend my notion, if you will. Like, I mean, if you think I'm bullshitting, then show me all the bad Joe Biden stories. And I mean, if you want to say that it's because Joe Biden's doing such a great job that you don't get bad stories, oh yeah, it's because Trump was so bad, and they were overly reporting Trump when he was the president, that now like the news isn't choosing to report negative stories politically because then it's because Trump's mean. That's stupid. I mean, if you feel that way, you're an idiot. But having said that, one thing that can't be debated again is that this current administration is more open to immigrants coming in illegally. In terms of the border, this was actually reported in the Post too, in the New York Post. I saw it then, but somebody on a channel, it's actually called End Wokeness. I mean, you may sneeze at the name, but I don't give a shit. But this was reported on Twitter, a platform that I'm starting to use a lot. Like, not use a lot, but read on a lot. I like to read, and Twitter has a lot more things that are reader friendly, even though they're short tweets. But I'd rather read than like watch videos. But this is from a TikTok video that was shared by an account on Twitter called End Wokeness. And I guess the original maker of this video is Ali Bradley TV. And he's showing that the border has these doors that I'm showing you right here. These are normally, I guess, like if they wanted to open entry port, which I'm assuming is supposed to be like monitored with guards on the American side of the border, they could do that. Well, this one is open in the Phoenix area of the border, and it's open with nobody there guarding it. So it's basically open to for anybody. Now, this is not and you look, it's actually welded open. I mean, because these doors are diesel. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, the apparatus that you may use to bring it up is actually welded shut. You could see, if I go back to this part, This is a welding job that they did that homie just pointed at right now. This is welded shut. So this thing is into the ground and this is welded onto the gate. You know what I'm saying? So that's not gonna open unless it's unwelded. But one thing that is open, these 4 or 5 border doors. You know, and anybody could stroll up in here. Right now, like supposedly in the border, like the border is pretty much controlled by the cartels. Like the cartels pretty much, or the custom border patrol got to coordinate with the cartels, like to operate on the border. There's some sections of the border that are 90 miles that are patrolled by 2 people. 90 miles is like from New York to Philly, damn near. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's that video again. And I mean, like at a surface level, like from what you guys know of Trump, like, do you guys think that Trump would have allowed like for the border to be like this? Hell's no, hell's no. You know, and I mean like, and that's good because a lot of the surface level things that you knew of Trump are probably being applauded in the hood now. Like as far as police, I mean, like you did know that Trump was probably, if you, at a surface level, like not like you ain't know his particular policy, but you did know that he was pro police, if you will. Like a lot of dudes in the hood right now are probably pro police. Like if you told them, do you want to defund the police or are you pro police? And those are your two choices, they would tell you they're pro police. Period. Because nobody goes out. I mean, even the toughest dude, you don't go out. I mean, like I used to when we used to go out when we were young, like, you know, you go out with the I wish a motherfucker would attitude. But in reality, nobody wants that shit. You don't want to be going out and like finding beef all over the place. Only if you're demented. You know, you don't want like to prove like that something bad isn't gonna happen to you. You rather just go out and not bad shit happen and bad shit not happen to you. And I think that's how most people feel. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what's happening in New York currently. So like on the surface level, like one of the things that you knew that Trump was for was policing or pro police rather than defunding the police. And most people in the hood are probably against defunding the police right now. Most people in the hood, if you told them, I mean, and like, or most people that on a surface level knew that Trump was also against migrants just spilling in. Right now, what's happening? Migrants are spilling in at a surface level. If you ask anybody, like, would you rather have migrants spilling in or not spilling in? I'm pretty sure, like, maybe if they wanted to be cute and like in 2020 and tell you, oh, nah, you know, like fuck, like, you know, they'd probably say, I don't mind migrants or something like that. Right now, I mean, like nobody in New York would tell you, oh yeah, bring them in, unless it's liberal white women. Liberal white women and liberal effeminized white boys are gonna tell you, oh yeah, like, you know, we're what do they call that? A safe harbor like for immigrants. Like get the fuck out of here. Like no, no. Like go safe harbor. Like, you know, liberals suffer from some or are very big proponents of something, a term that I heard called NIMBYism. It's NIMBY ism, and it stands for not in my backyard. And that's a perfect term because they don't mind immigrants coming in so long as it's not immigrants sitting where they're at directly. And there's neighborhoods in New York like that, like where yuppies live. It's basically in these big ass glass, like new construction buildings, but they don't want like people in the lobby of those buildings. Hells no. They don't want hood dudes sitting in the stoops of those buildings. I mean, if they live in a brownstone, they're not gonna support somebody sitting in a stoop of one of those brownstones. Hells no. If you go to like a white neighborhood like the Village, just say, like people ain't running amok like that. You may get little instances of people running amok, but the cops will crack your head in an area like the Village, where like more alphabet people live and yuppies live. You know what I'm saying? But you have a lot of liberal white people that moved there in the late 90s, maybe, or recently, that go in there and change policies, like to make New York into a right to shelter state, which is basically that if anybody is leaving um, a another country, or if they're like unhoused, that you have the right, they have the right to be housed. And now you have an influx of it. Now there's no housing left to give them. So what are they doing? They're putting them in schools. Right now, there's a big demonstration happening in Staten Island in a really white area regarding a vacated Catholic school that's being used to house immigrants this weekend. They snuck them in the like thieves in the night. So now they're having a demonstration outside of it, because right outside of that school, 500 feet from that school, is an all-girls school. School's about to start in New York. So you're gonna have these thirsty dudes, because like I said again, like a lot of these immigrants that are coming in are mostly men, mostly men. So you're gonna have a bunch of thirsty dudes posted up near like young girls. Come on, that's a very, like, and a lot of these dudes are playing themselves. I'm telling you, like when you go, like you don't see these dudes like a lot of people like that may not live like where a lot of these immigrant spilling into areas are happening, or in areas where a lot of immigrants are spilling into, like a New York City. They may think that like, this is sweet, and like, that, it's just a bunch of people looking for work. It doesn't seem that way. Like it's just it seems like a bunch of motherfuckers just lamping around, like just chilling, or like and they don't look like very pleasant people. In fact, when I go into Sunset, when I go to my neighborhood in a few days, I'm gonna go to that migrant center. But from what I heard, that in the migrant center that they put in Sunset Park, which was a recreation center, that it's only like 90 of them right now, and they're not really outside. Like they tell them basically stay inside, like, and they feed them inside, and they shower in the recreation center, so they don't really go outside, I guess, because they're not trying to garner media attention. But that's not going to stay that way. And that's the same thing in Staten Island with that school that I just told you guys. Right now, they're saying there's about 30 of them that were brought in there. There was 30 that were brought in, and they and there's still 30. That's not going to stay that way. I mean, if you're hearing the mayor New York, Mayor Eric Adams, saying that they have a problem of housing people, and they have this big ass school that they could fit 500 in there, they're not going to leave 30 in there long term. They're going to fit 500, if not 2,000, into that little school. My rec center in Sunset Park, which I know intimately because I used to box in that rec center. That was my boxing gym, the dungeon, we used to call it. In the winter, it was also a basketball gym too on the other side of that rec center. But it's actually the entry, like the locker area of Sunset Park Pool. But that rec center right now, they have supposedly about 90 immigrants. They're gonna fit 500 in there, off the rip. I mean, once they get a chance, like once people die down and like the media attention dies down, or like they have like that crisis spilling into the street heavy duty, they're just like, people are gonna say, all right, like, or they're gonna make it seem like, all right, these are the two options. They either stay out in the streets, or they go into the school, or they go into this rec center. Like that's gonna be the two options that New York City is gonna give you. Trust me. Let me pull up some more videos though before I forget. And I don't, again, I'm not internet savvy, so I gotta pull my videos up in a different fashion. So if you guys could excuse me. But this is let me make sure I don't, a link to that story that or the video that I just showed you on the New York Post. It was actually in the front cover of the New York Post. But I'll just pull up the headline now. See, if floodgates are open, literally. And that's basically the spot where the video I showed you earlier. Um, and it says post watches hundreds of illegal migrants crossed through the border doors the U.S. has welded open. So I mean, you guys want to look for that story on your own, feel free. But let me look through some of these other stories. You guys could excuse me while I pull these up. But another problem that we're having is the couple of women that do enter, and I noticed that it's a lot of it, a lot of the broads are from Venezuela, is that they're selling ass. You know, there was a little bit of a problem of New York allowing ass to be sold again, but now I mean, like, you had the problem already in which ass was being sold, and now you also have another factor in that you have these women from these countries with nothing to do, and I mean, no jobs, no prospect of a job, and they're selling ass. I mean, like, you know, and I'm just gonna show you again. This is from a account called Crime in New York City. Yeah, Crime in NYC from Twitter that I started following recently. But not gonna read what he said. I just want to show the video. And he shared it from a page called that damn. Okay, yeah, I don't want to get a strike. The song that they're playing in this video is "I Feel Love" by Donna Summer. I think a remix of it, at least. It's actually a fantastic song too. But so this is I'm assuming this is Queens, from like the little I know of Queens. But showing these streetwalkers, ladies of the night. And this is not happening at night. I mean, this is broad daylight. If you could tell, like, this area looks like a sort of like a suburb. That's probably the exit of a highway right here by, like, I think that's the BQE if I remember correctly. But these aren't like tough areas. These aren't like bad areas, and these are all like, it looks like Venezuelan chicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, like, and I'll just keep that video playing while this is going. But it's sad for any broad to be selling ass. Like, when I actually made a video regarding that, like driving down 41st Street in Times Square when I would be going into the city at night when post COVID era, like 2021, showing the areas where there was women like selling ass, and it was mostly Black and Spanish women. You know, you because I know that why it was happening then, and it was because there was shelters, or there was a problem as far as with the shelters in New York, and they were housing them in the hotels like near Times Square. So what the pimps were doing was that they were going to these areas where they were using these temporary shelter needs and putting single women there or battered women in these hotels, like in the Times Square area in Manhattan. So pimps were going there and setting up shop and recruiting these women like to go sell ass. So now, I mean, like, and that was due to desperation. A lot of people, like, post COVID, since 2020 till now, everybody feels way broker than they did before 2020. That can't be debated. But now you're gonna have that problem that's already existing, that problem that's already being allowed, like, or not being enforced by the NYPD. But now you're throwing in another factor of these Venezuelan women like that are selling ass. And like I showed y'all that video right now. I mean, it's not like those broads look bad. Some of them look pretty good, you know. But is that like if I thought it was a problem before, I thought it was not nice. Like before, I don't like to see women selling ass ever. Like no girl ever says like I'm gonna grow up and sell ass. Like I don't care. Like you know how people are trying to make it like seem all like oh it's a sex worker. Like you know sex workers make like you know like no like nobody fucking grows up like if your daughter was telling you oh you know I'm a sex worker like you're not gonna take it in a good way. Oh yeah well well, what's your daughter up to? Oh, you know, she left college, but now she's a sex worker. Like, oh, you know, and I bought a boat. Like, no, nobody talks like that. Like, don't let these liberals fool you into thinking that, or like, women's liberation or women's ability to be free is some sort of bonus of it is the ability to sell ass without and don't judge them for doing that. No, I don't. I'm not gonna judge them. I feel terrible for them. But it's something I never like to see happening. It's something that I've never tolerated. I've always hated pimps, like pimps in the hood. Like I've never been cool with the pimp, and I always try to mess up pimps' operations. Like when I had the chance to in my younger life. So now you're adding a wave of Latin American women who, let's be honest, some of them look alright. Some of them look really good. Like a lot of people, like I don't see many dudes like say, "Oh, I don't fuck with Latin American women," or "I don't like the way Latin American women look." Most people be like, "Yo, Latin American women are hot." You know, to be frank, like nothing I'm interested in. I'm a married spud, but you got this wave of women that are very likely to be pimped, to be used by nasty dudes that frequent like Johns that will buy ass. And that's not, you know, that's nothing you could sugarcoat. I mean, and if you want to talk about, oh, well, sex workers, or, you know, that's just a regular job. Well, all right. Then if women from the hood were sex workers starting 2020 till now, then their market share is going down. You know, they got to lower their prices. So that's a tragedy if you want to be liberal or cute about that side of the debate. But before I take off, I wish motherfuckers commented more, bro. Like I'm expecting like a little bit of a tit for tat here, like you know, because I mean I show up like many places and it seems like I get demonized for flouting conservatism, especially when it comes to you know conservatism in the hood or for so-called minorities. But I wish I was engaged far more than in the sense of like people contending what I'm saying, you know. Like I wouldn't mind that. But I'm gonna show one last video. This is from a demonstration today, and of course it's a liberal woman with a group of hooded like liberal white guys. It looks like they were anti like the counter protest to a protest outside of Gracie Mansion, which is the mayor's mansion in City Hall. People were protesting today at the Gracie Mansion for to stop putting migrants or bringing migrants into the city. But you had a counter protest there. I'm gonna bring up the video now, and it's this nagging liberal white woman, of course, like trying to set the trend and tell you what to think. And mind you, this lady doesn't have a New York accent. She's probably not from New York, but she's telling New Yorkers what they should allow in their city. Let me share the screen again. There we go. This is from Timcast News. That's Tim Pool's channel, I guess. Make sure that my screen is big. I'll make sure it's showing up.
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are supposed to be welcome here. Housing rights for all. We We have enough to give housing to all the migrants. We don't need this hate. We don't need this fucking hate. That's not what this is. This is what you need is hate. Fuck that. Migrants are welcome here until this flag stands for them. I say fuck this flag until it stands for migrants.
Yeah.
Have your fucking flag.
No, sidewalk. Come across the street. I don't care. You know
Yeah, I'm gonna play that from the beginning, but if you guys could see, like, the attempt to burn the flag was a failure. And I guess, like, you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm not really for flag burning of any flag or stomping on flags, but I'm also against censorship of any form. So if that's your way of protesting, I mean, so be it, as long as you're not hurting nobody. But you know, you got this woman who I'm pretty sure has a sofa. You know, she could house an immigrant on her sofa. Along with homie right here, trust all these people are trust fund kids. You know, this dork right here, probably a psychology teacher in high school or college or some shit. This dork probably living off a trust fund. This stupid bitch who thinks she's a man, you know, is probably comes from money as well. None of these people have New York accents, but they're telling New Yorkers how they should live and what they accept. This was stated as being outside the Gracie Mansion. I don't think this is like the Gracie Mansion area. Yeah, I mean, like, from what I know of New York,
are supposed to be welcome here.
it looks like City
Housing rights
Hall.
for all. We have enough to give housing to all the migrants. We don't need.
See, and if you see what she says, we have enough to give housing to all the migrants. Like, the mayor's telling you, you don't. Like, where the fuck you want to put these motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying?
Rights for all. We have enough to give housing to all the migrants. We don't need this hate. We don't need this fucking hate. That's not what this is.
So that's another liberal tactic, is that they try to use these terms like if you don't want to give housing to migrants, then, you know, we don't need to see this hate. That's what she's saying, you know. So if you're not in agreement with migrants being housed in New York, then you hate migrants. Like, no, like, nothing of what I'm saying is that I hate migrants. It's just that I don't want to see more people in somewhere that's already cramped.
We have enough to give housing to all the migrants. We don't need this hate. We don't need this fucking hate. That's not what this is. This is what you need is hate. Fuck that. Migrants are welcome here until this flag stands for them. I say fuck this flag until it stands for migrants.
Yeah.
These pale ass people. Look at this pale bitch right here, the photographer.
Have your fucking flag.
Can't even burn a flag, right? But I don't know why. I mean, I showed that video more to show that there's actually people on both sides of this debate at war, if you will, in Gotham, in the New York currently. But yeah, I mean, this is not going to be my last video regarding the migrants. I mean, like, you know, and I'll close it out with my hood perspective in this, or another like closing statement regarding the hood. Everything that was for the hood, like when you put these people in the hood, like my hood, like, so I'll give you my first example, the recreation center. Now the recreation center is done with because it was given to migrants. Like, people come from Bed-Stuy, people come from Red Hook, from all over New York to come to Sunset Park Pool. Now, I mean, like, and that's young people, like young kids. Like, you rather have them in the pool. I used to go to the pool every day in the summer. Like, once the water got warmer, which was probably like early July, I was in the pool every day, or after 4th of July until like school was about to open, every day in the pool. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when you take that away, and it's every kid would go to Sunset Park Pool. We have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. It was the shit. You know, it was dirty as fuck a lot of times. Like, sometimes, like, people even shit in the pool. But it was spending time, on the bleachers in the pool, talking to girls. You know, it was just sneaking into the pool at night. It was basically my whole youth. But now, I mean, like, because idiots like Eric Adams, one of the worst mayors I've ever seen, and they usually they usually give political positions to the brothers, like when things are falling apart. So it's not like that. Eric Adams is an idiot. You'll get no debate from me on that notion. But in New York City, I remember them giving Dinkins, the first black mayor of New York City, they pushed him to become the mayor of the city in the midst of the crack era, like when New York, like, supposedly Koch cleaned up New York, which he didn't. Koch just made New York City trains where you couldn't graffiti them. Like, they just changed the material outside of the train so you couldn't write graffiti on trains any longer. But Koch was a loser too. But right after Koch dipped, then you had the peak crack era in New York, which is basically 88 to like 94. And that's when they let Dinkins become the mayor. And then right after that, they give you the tough on crime Mayor Giuliani. Like, now, personally, I mean, I didn't know any better, but I'm going to say that the crack era was more fun for me. But in the crack era, I was like 10 years old. So I could go into abandoned buildings and like discover or play adventures, light shit on fire, not get like fucked with by the police. But I didn't know any better. But now, I mean, you're going to have I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But having said that, when you don't have anything to give, when a neighborhood like Sunset Park or a city like New York City doesn't have anything to give to its own population, and then you go add another population of people on top of that don't have anything to contribute, really, then it just creates a bad problem. And then the biggest, I was talking to my shorty about this earlier, but wasn't like 2 years ago, like motherfuckers, especially in New York, masked up all the time, like 6 feet, like nobody, you gotta drink 5 doses of tea, oh, you can't come to my party unless you take the tea. Oh, you can't go to the baseball game unless you take the tea. But now, I mean, like, you're bringing in all these people that aren't taking the tea. Not that I'm a proponent of the tea. You're bringing in all these people that you don't know what kind of medical diseases they have. Supposedly, there's outbreaks of leprosy happening, a new version of the flu popping up. So it's just, and then you have all these people that are unvetted that might be carrying diseases from wherever they're coming from. It's just a cause for disaster. Another thing too, like in terms of like a lot of these immigrants that you see coming into New York, a lot of them, for the most part, are from Venezuela, African countries, but mostly the Congo. I don't know why, like, or how they even get to like Mexico or to South America to cross into the border. And you have a lot of Haitian cats too. Do with that what you will, but neither like Haiti or the Congo or any of the African country are like border countries. You know what I'm saying? So how do they even get to South America to begin with? I mean, that's something for another stream. Like, and before, when I close out now, I want to say that this isn't going to be my last, what do you call it? My last fucking stream about the border problem or the migrant problem. In fact, I want to do more, like I said, like more on the ground work and show like footage of spots that this is affecting. And I live in the burbs. Like maybe in the daytime I'll show you outside my window, not to show off, but like to show you where I live. But you could tell it's the suburbs. And but what I was gonna say, oh yeah, but I went to the post office in right before I went on vacation, so it's probably like July, and like this is not a neighborhood where people chill outside like that, like, you know what I'm saying, unless it's in front of their houses on, but not like chill like that. But when I went to the post office, and again, like where the post office is, it's more of like a high traffic car area, like, you know, where like people don't walk like that often, you know. it's meant to be walked down, but people just really don't because not like this neighborhood is not packed like that. But I went to the post office, and this was probably I'm gonna say like 1 o'clock, and there were three Southern American cats. They look like Venezuelan dudes though, but one of them was like 40, but he looked all torn up. Like you could tell, like somebody that drinks every day, like the Durrells like drink every day, like the people that drink like the $2 vodka, like just to get blasted, like bummed. And the other two cats, and he was drunk as fuck. And the other two cats were probably like mid-20s, but the other two cats were like playing grab ass with each other, like wrestling each other, like stupid shit. Like you could tell that they weren't from here and they're not from this country, like because they were chilling in a spot where you normally wouldn't chill at either. You know what I'm saying? But the like, and I'm peeping these dudes like trying to get a like not like to beef with them or anything, but just trying to get an assessment of like what the fuck is happening in this neighborhood. But the drunk dude was like grilling me and shit, like, and I was like, I had to make like a little bit of a U-turn, not a U-turn, but like 2 turns to get out from where I was like to go from to where I was gonna go, and the drunk 40-something dude was like grilling, like acting like he was like sort of like walking to the car, like talking shit, like muttering. But I wasn't about to say, oh, what it is, motherfucker, like those dudes. I could have watched the three of them, but and the guy who was muttering shit, he could barely stand, like drunk. But the point is I'm trying to make is that Newark, New Jersey isn't too far from my neighborhood. Like, and I don't know if they're bringing people in, like in the cut, like to a like even this neighborhood. I don't know if they're bringing them into this neighborhood. Oh, another thing too, I also saw a broad in that same high traffic area, and it looked like she was selling ass. And it would look like she was selling ass by herself. And I happened to see the same broad because I go to the post office almost every day. But I happened to see the same broad like 3 days later in the same area with some one other, like a regular cat. He's probably like pimping her out though. Like he probably like convinced like, yo, you could be working with me, and now she probably has a pimp. But she looked like another Southern American, Venezuelan probably, that's probably stuck to selling ass right now. God knows where she is right now. You know what I'm saying? Like God knows what's happening to women coming into the border, if there are any. They're probably getting separated from their fams, kids too, because you don't see kids coming in from the border. And God knows what's happening to them. You pray for them. But this could be coming to an area near you. I mean, because if that number that I said before of the number of border people that have come in, or people that have come in from the border, like undocumented, whatever, I think it's between 2 and 6 million. But if it's 6 million, I mean, like that's coming to a neighborhood near you. That's 2% more of the population of 300 something million that we have now. 2% more people that have moved in. Now, 2% doesn't sound like a lot, but if you keep adding to that number, one, that's a lot. Two, they're not moving these people into fucking Idaho or like or into the farms of Ohio or some shit. They're moving these people into fucking Cali, probably, to Phoenix, to the cities in Texas, to New York, definitely happening, and to a city near you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so with that, I mean, like, I hope you guys will come back in a future live. I hope you guys talk shit to me if you rebut what I'm saying too. I mean, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I'll even drop a link too, and you could come on at times. If it's to say again, and I'm gonna say this now, I'll say this any other time. Like, I'm gonna open my panels like for debates, like for anybody who ever wants to contend the notion or agree, whatever. I don't care. But I don't want to hear no ring around the rosy arguments, like or it is what it is, like argument. Like, no, like if you want to say it is what it is, that's a stance that I hate people taking, that I don't personally take. Like, nothing is what it is. If I'm unless you're like fucking giving up. If you give it up, then things is what it is. I don't give up. I'm constantly in motion, constantly trying to change things for the better, for myself at least, and for my fams. So nothing is what it is for me. But let me take off. For the 6 people that are here now, I salute you. I don't know why I don't get people talking to my chats. Like I usually get like 6 or 7 people. Like might be the same people, but shit, talk. Damn, I had a good thing to contribute to. Like as far as when I went to Paris, when I in 2004, like the immigrant problem that they had then. But I guess I'll leave it for another time. But with that, I hope you guys take care and have a good week this week. Be careful. Peace.